Hey, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Quarter Disorder podcast. This is episode 3 for the show, and it is being recorded on February 1st, 2024, which is a Thursday night. I'm your host, Tim Bowman, and joining me is my co-host, best friend, and a guy who's just learning how to do Twitch in 2024, Lewis. What's going
What's up,
on, Lewis?
everyone? What's going on? I'm just still learning. I actually have the how-to on YouTube popped up on how to use Twitch, believe it or not.
So he's going to be doing Twitch at some point. He's going to get it up and running, but he's kind of learning the ropes, right?
Yeah. Hopefully I don't slip and fall on my face on the laptop or on my PS5.
Yeah, get those viewers up. So he started at 2 viewers. If you get up to like 3,
Oh,
that's
I'm
what
not
we're
even
aiming
I'm not
for.
even shooting for that high.
That high, that's too many people.
Yeah, it's in people.
3 people's too many.
Yeah.
But anyway, like I said, this is episode 3 of the podcast, and before we get into the show, just want to give a quick rundown of some housekeeping things of ways you can listen to the show. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere else you get your podcast from. And we also upload the shows to our YouTube page at Quarter Disorder Podcast, so you can check out the shows there. If you go to quarterdisorder.com or quarterdisorderpodcast.com, that takes you to the homepage of the website. And at the top of the homepage there, you will find a podcast hub where each episode will have show notes, links, things we talked about, and our social media pages as well. We are on basically all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter X, Threads, Blue Sky, basically everywhere. And we have those links on the show notes and the podcast hub. And this episode too will have links to all the stories and topics that we talk about. So if you listen to the show and you want to check out the news articles we're referencing or other topics, they will be there as well. And if you like the show, give us a rating, give us a thumbs up and a review on Spotify and Apple. It helps us get the show out there and get more exposure. And you can also subscribe to our YouTube page, leave a comment on there. That helps as well. We really appreciate it. If you have any feedback for this episode or previous episodes, you can leave a comment on the show notes on the website at quarterdisorder.com or quarterdisorderpodcast.com, as well as emailing us to the email address is feedback@quarterdisorderpodcast.com. And if you want to check out my social media, I also have that on the show notes as well. I have my own website where I write and do photography and shoot videos of concerts, pro wrestling, music, a bunch of other stuff at timbowmanmedia.com. And those links will be in the show notes as well. Lewis has no social media. He's a ghost. So unfortunately, he has nothing right now, but we will get that set up soon for him.
Exclusive to this podcast.
Exclusive to the podcast. Yeah, I signed him to an exclusive deal. So
Yeah.
no money involved. No money has exchanged hands yet, but maybe with your help.
Would do fine.
Just a pizza, okay. Large. That's pushing it, man.
That's too much.
That's too much. Let's start with a slice, and then we'll kind of work our way
It's better than nothing.
Up there. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, follow us on social media, check out the website, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast from, and leave us some feedback. We would really appreciate it. But getting into the show, let's start with what we've been watching. I haven't watched too much this week, but I did check out the first episode of Echo on Hulu, and it's also on Disney Plus if you have Disney Plus. This is basically a Marvel Studios show, but it's under like a different brand. I think they call it like Marvel Spotlight or something. So it's not like kind of with all the other mid Disney shows that have been on there recently. So this basically stars the character named Echo, who I believe was probably through the Daredevil comics. I think she's more of a recent character. But she had a minor role in the Hawkeye series on Disney Plus, and now she has her own series. And basically, in the first episode, you kind of get like a rundown of some of the Disney Plus Hawkeye series, as well as some new stuff going forward. She's basically trying to take down the Kingpin, who is played by the same guy who was in the Netflix Daredevil series, Vincent D'Onofrio. I hope I said his last name right. He's a great actor. I love him, but I always butcher his last name. But he is playing Kingpin again, and so he's kind of now officially in the MCU as well. and so you didn't really need to see Hawkeye to kind of understand this character because they kind of go through that on the show. So
That's
her
good.
special powers is I guess she's like has super senses because she's like deaf. She was born deaf, and seemed to be raised by the Kingpin on the show. You kind of find out that the Kingpin wasn't really what he seemed to be towards her, so they kind of had like a falling out, which this series is going to go into. But the series is only 5 episodes, Echo. So I finished the first episode. It was about maybe close to 45 minutes, and the remaining series episodes are kind of in that range, like 30 to 40 minutes. I thought it was really good. Daredevil makes an appearance, played by Charlie Cox. So they kind of have those more of the characters. I don't know how big Echo is because I mean I kind of know her through the Disney stuff. I don't really know her from the comics too much. I haven't read those stories, but it seems like a mini series are kind of introducing these characters into the MCU. And Alaqua Cox, I believe her name is. She plays Echo. She was really great. Kind of plays this like badass female lead. Knows a lot of like martial arts and things like that on the show. So I guess like I said, the whole premise of the show is that she's going to take down Kingpin and become basically the queen of the underbelly crime network. So I liked the first episode. Had some good action, good scenery. There's a lot of Native American kind of characters and settings to them, which is really cool. So we'll kind of see where it goes. I'm assuming Daredevil shows up more in Kingpin as well, which kind of are bigger characters than Echo. But I liked it so far. I'm gonna finish it. And again, it's on Hulu and Disney Plus as well, so they're kind of on both platforms. So
That's
have
pretty
you?
cool. It's on Hulu.
Yeah, have you checked this out at y'all or know anything about it or?
No, and I don't know anything about it. I just know it exists. That's about it. But
Mm-hmm.
going by your just rundown on that episode, I might check it out.
Did you see the Hawkeye show on
Yeah,
Disney
I know who
Plus?
she is. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
I saw it. It was pretty. I thought she was pretty cool on the show. Or yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So now she's the main. It's basically the main character. I don't know how much Daredevil's going to be in it, but he showed up right away in the first episode, so that was
Oh,
pretty
really?
cool.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. They
Oh,
had a
so they're
kind
going.
of
They're starting off hot on that show then. Okay.
yeah. It was they had like a combat scene that was pretty cool. So I like it. I'm gonna finish it and see where they take it. So,
Cool.
but that was the only thing I was watching this week. What have you watched, Lewis, the past week or so?
So, I've been watching What If on Disney Plus. It's from Marvel Studios, and usually it's a show about like what if scenarios in the MCU. If, like, for example, if Spider-Man had Doctor Strange's cape, just an example. So I was watching episode 2, and it's called "What If Peter Quill Attacked Earth's Mightiest Heroes?" Right. So this episode is about a new team of heroes from when Ego and his son, which is Peter Quill, they launch an attack on Earth to spread Ego's expansion, and the new Avengers is the only home. And well, I gotta say, this episode was pretty interesting at first. Like the premise of the new, it had like a weird team of Avengers. Um, one thing about the art and animation, I wasn't really digging it because I was getting confused with characters with their faces, so I couldn't tell who was who. I kind of thought the animation in the first season was a little bit better. This kind of feels kind of smudged, and I couldn't tell who was who. But the episode takes place in 1988 when Peter's a young boy, and I'm not sure if I'm going to watch this show anymore. Probably, I'll give another episode a shot. But this episode kind of felt rushed, and I get like it's a scenario, and they're trying to do everything all at once, and just I don't know, the pacing is just off to me. At least with this episode, um, I kind of feel like MCU is being poorly produced currently. I don't know if you feel that way.
Yeah, it's basically mid CU or whatever.
Yeah,
It's they're very very skippable.
and usually like animated counterparts like on the DC side, they're way better than the movies, right? And I feel like with this, it's like very subpar. It's just not that good. And what sucks is that you know how it's like basically they came on and said every multiverse thing is important now. They just kind of made everything as a whole. With What If, I just kind of feel like this episode was just very mid. and I don't see no payoff to what's gonna happen at the end of the season. At least I'll just give one more episode a shot, and that's it. But
So are these standalone episodes, or do they kind of like follow a certain order? Like if you watch each one, or are they like
well,
kind of isolated?
on season one, they had individual episodes that had a good payoff at the end. They had a big villain set up, and this one so far, I don't feel like I think they're just standalone. Again, if I like episode three, I'll continue on watching it. But after this, if this is more of if episode three is more of this, where it's just kind of like, oh, this is not that good, I'm just gonna stop. Because I don't know, with Ted, I didn't feel like I needed to watch more, and I feel like with What If, it's coming to that. But again, I'll give episode three a shot. But on to the next thing I was watching. One of my friends, Dakota, he recommended me this show on Amazon Prime, and I kind of feel like Prime has some TV shows to watch, kind of like The Boys. So it's called Hazbin Hotel, and this show's about this character named Charlie, who is a crown princess of hell. She's looking to rehab sinners so they can be allowed into heaven because there's an event annually called the Extermination due to hell being overpopulated. And one of the things Dakota told me was, "Hey, you're really gonna like this show not only because of the comedy but the music." So this show is basically like a musical, and all the songs in the first episode were really catchy, and I really liked it. And there's a lot of dark humor. Some like I can't even repeat some of the jokes on air, but I'll keep watching this. Just because based on the writing, it's actually really funny. This show just barely premiered in January 18th of this year. But yeah, I like it. I recommend it. I'm gonna keep watching this. I'm actually gonna finish this because the music was really good.
Is there anybody that people would recognize in the show, or like who?
Nobody,
Nobody.
nobody. I was looking through the cast and I said, man, I don't know any of these people. And then I looked at their projects, nothing that I can remember. But it's one
Okay.
of their biggest animated shows globally.
Oh, okay. So this is an animated thing. It's not like
Yes,
real. Okay.
yes.
How long are the episodes, and how long is the season? Were you
Oh,
able
it's
to check
great.
that out?
First episode is 26 minutes. I don't want to spoil myself and going further, but I'm pretty sure they're all 26 minutes.
So that's
It's a
that's
good.
pretty good to get through. It's not bad.
Oh, I was doing cardio when I watched the first episode. It was great.
So it's a good gym show.
Oh,
Throw it at the gym.
1000%. Yeah, especially the
Hmm.
music. Oh, the music is mixed in with comedy. Oh, it's great. It kind of gives me those early Simpsons vibes where you had catchy tunes and it just kind of sticks with you. My favorite character on the show, her their name is Angel Dust, and they're like a porn star.
Yeah, that fits, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. That's all I've
So
watched this
yeah.
week.
So that's a thumbs up for people to
Yes,
check out. Okay.
2 thumbs up.
Hmm. All right. Well, I'll have to check that out. I just have Amazon Prime. I actually just signed up for like a free trial, so maybe I'll check that out too. We can maybe talk about it next show, because if you said it's pretty good, 26 minutes, I can get through that pretty quick. So
Oh, it's great. Yeah,
that's not bad.
it beats 40.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Well, that's what we've been watching, and kind of moving on to the what we've been playing now. I have a kind of a couple games here that I've been working through the past week. I didn't really get to play much because the entire last week I was sick. That's why we didn't do a show last week, because I was basically out laying in bed. Um, but one of the games I was able to play that we actually talked about on the last episode of the podcast was Pal World. So I played that after we did the show last episode 2, and it's pretty good. I played it on Xbox Series X because it's part of Game Pass. It's kind of basically like a Pokemon with guns. It's basically what people are calling it, and it's really like a survival crafting game. And you can catch monsters and build a little base. It kind of just like throws you into this world. Um,
So it's kind of like the Pokemon game we've all been waiting for since you've played it.
I would say so. A lot of people have said that. It's like, why haven't they made this Pokemon game in like the past, like, what, 25 years or something?
Yeah,
Like some random like indie team made a better Pokemon game than the Pokemon people.
like the game we've been asking for.
Right. I will say though, like on at least on Xbox Series X when I played it, because it's been patched since then. I haven't gone back and played it since it's been patched, but it is a little bit rough. Like this is an early access game, so it's not like technically finished.
Hmm.
But they kind of just like throws you into this world, and you make like even like the character creation screen. It's very kind of bare bones. And once you
But
get into this world, yeah. Mhm.
once you get into the game, you're just like, this is pretty damn good.
I would say it's okay. I don't really care for these like survival type games.
Hmm.
I do play them, and but I know like people are like really into them. But basically, in this game, like you just kind of like are thrown into it, and then you're just like you have to kind of. It tells you like to read like the game in-game manual, and it has this like long list of stuff that tells you how to like build things or make weapons or what to do when it turns night and things like that. Because your guy is basically just like naked when you get in thrown in here, and you have like no weapons. You gotta like walk around and punch rocks and get like materials and stuff. Like seriously, you're just like punching a rock like repeatedly, and you get like material or like branches and stuff. I don't really know how it compares to like other survival games because I really don't really play those too much.
Yeah.
But I did play like maybe an hour of it. Like I said, it's a little bit rough, but I can see like the appeal of it because it does have like again, it's like that survival crafting aspect with catching monsters.
Hmm.
And
Would you compare it to like the Forest in the sense like in the beginning it's kind of rough and then later on you'll see like there's potential there for being greatness there in the game?
I think so, yeah. So the Forest is like another one of those survival games. The Forest had like more like a definitely more like a horror aspect to it. I think the Forest was like better. I think this is like I don't know. It's doing like a lot of stuff at the same time. And again, I'm playing it on Xbox Series X, so I know that game was behind as far as like patches and stuff. So you can tell it's a little bit rough, but I can see why this game has been so popular, which we'll talk about later in the news section, because it's like one of the most popular games right now. Um, it does have some sort of weird appeal to it. Like I said, it has like the survival aspect, then you're building stuff and crafting and trying to catch these monsters, and like it seems to have some sort of a story to it as well. But I haven't really gotten that far to like there wasn't any cutscenes or whatever. You just kind of just like dialogue and stuff.
Okay.
And there's like NPC characters that are around the world. But like yeah, like I said, you basically start with nothing and kind of have to build up. Like I still don't have any clothes. Like I'm still just basically like naked. And I'm like walking around with like underwear. And it's
Some
like
Calvin Kleins.
nighttime. Yeah, basically some Calvin Kleins. I look like a caveman with like designer underwear on. But you got to build up to like building like an outfit, and I got to get the material for that. I don't know if I'm gonna like keep playing this. I just basically checked it out because of like, whoa, what's going on with this game? But I know it's like super popular, so if you're kind of interested in like those survival games and the Pokemon aspect of like monster hunting, like there's other monster games out there. Like Pokemon's not the only one, so I know like Pokemon people are like, oh, they're gonna sue these guys, and like I don't know if they have a case, but I mean
You
some of
can't own
the
monsters.
yeah, some of the designs might have been potentially lifted, or I don't know where the update on that is, but like it's a runaway success, the game. So if you have Game Pass, it's on there as part of the subscription. It's also on Steam,
Pretty
and
good
like I
get
said,
from Microsoft, I think. What do you think?
yeah, it's their. I think they put out a press thing. It's like the biggest third party game launch in Game Pass history.
That's good.
So it's on Steam for purchase. Again, it's on early access. So it'll probably be in early access for I think a year or so. I think that's the roadmap. But if that sounds up your alley, you can check that out. And another game I started really early on. I'm still pretty in the first couple hours. Is Cyberpunk 2077. Playing this on a PlayStation 5 with the free PS5 upgrade. I actually bought this game for like $5, like probably like a year or two ago. It was at Best Buy. Like the PS4 version was like literally $5, and I'm just getting around to play it now because I wanted to kind of play like an RPG. I'm still
You did
really
it.
early.
You
Mm-hmm.
did it right. You waited.
Oh wait, yeah, because like now the game actually went up in price because like they fixed it, so now it's like more expensive. But when I bought it, it was like people were still ragging on it, so I was like, all right, $5, that's not bad. Um, so I'm still in the first hour. I got past the tutorial section and I did my first mission. I have no idea what's going on in this game. I'm still learning all the characters and stuff, but the shooting is okay.
Hmm.
The environments look pretty cool, like the town and stuff. I'm not really sure what's going on in the story yet. You kind of seem I kind of chose like you're like this outlaw and you're kind of doing like missions. I know when you created the character, there was different options of like where you wanted to take your character. I think I chose like the outlaw where you're like outskirts of town, and then you get into like the cyberpunk city or whatever. So I'll probably stick with it. I like it so far. I've only played like an hour and a half, but kind of now it's more open where I'm getting like missions and stuff. So
Hmm.
it's a little bit more open world in that aspect. So I'm gonna keep playing that. And you finished this, right? Cyberpunk.
Yeah,
Hmm.
during the time when it was on Netflix, the anime show, like during its peak, yeah, I decided to jump on it. I really loved the game in the end, uh, because it was playable, first of all. Because I actually did play it at launch. I got it as a gift for Christmas that year at launch, and it was very, and I really mean it's very unplayable. I mean, I think what made me tap out was I had stolen a motorcycle and I was riding just on the street, and I accidentally ran over somebody, and all of a sudden I went through a building trying to escape, and I just glitched through the ground. And I said, "This is enough. I can't play this." And then didn't play it till like a few years back. I mean, later, but a few years back now. Currently, I kind of want to go back to the game just to see what improvements the game has currently. Very curious. Uh, and then hearing you talk about it right now, I'm like, man, I should go back to that in my
Yeah,
spare
they did.
time.
They did put out new like DLC content for it that people went back and played, and I mean it's been patched and updated across the consoles. I know when you're talking about when it came out, it was one of the few, if the only game ever where if you like actually opened it, like a retail copy, you could return it to the store. That's how broken it was. Like
It
they
got
actually
taken
like
off the PlayStation Store.
yeah, it did. Like you can actually return the game and get a refund. I don't really remember too many games that happening to.
Yeah,
So, but it's in a lot better shape. I haven't encountered any issues like technical issues, so it's been fine.
yeah, that's good. Yeah, but man, I do remember when they got taken off the PlayStation Store. That's how bad the game was at launch.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal. This is like a classic example of a game that wasn't ready at launch, but then like a couple years later, it's like well regarded because they've
Hmm.
been fixing it so much. But yeah, I'm gonna keep playing that, and probably for the foreseeable future, that's gonna be my game. And I did start playing Forza Motorsport, the last release from last fall on Xbox Series X. I'm into like racing games. I kind of just wanted something chill in between playing other stuff. And I was playing Forza Horizon, I believe 5, whatever the last one was recently, and I was like, it was too off world for me. Like you would do races and you'd be like traveling through like the nature of like the ground and stuff. I was like, oh, this kind of sucks. I'm not into it. So I stopped playing that, and then I downloaded Forza Motorsport, which is basically more of a strict racing game where you're on like actual courses. And game looks great. I'm not really too into like the whole Forza, like all the content and updates. I really can't compare it to like the other game, but I just know it's a pretty decent racer so far. So it's gonna be a game I just kind of play here and there. Um, I know it did come out and didn't have like a lot of buzz at the time compared to other Forza games, but it's on Game Pass, so I was like, all right, I'll just check it out. So I did want to play like a racing game.
Hmm.
And the next game I played is another game we're going to talk about later for as part of PlayStation's State of Play presentation they did this week. But I played earlier tonight Silent Hill, the short message on PS5, which is a free downloadable game on PlayStation 5, which is like a new Silent Hill experience. And basically, in this game, you play in the first person perspective of like a teenage high school girl who's got a lot of issues.
Hmm.
And the themes of the game seem to be so far like about like, the effects of like social media, like the negative effects and like bullying and growing up in high school and how hard it is and stuff. So they're kind of tackling some issues there. But this is like the first Silent Hill game, and I believe since like Silent Hill Downpour in like 2012 or
Wow,
13.
that's a
So it's been
long
a
time.
very long time. It doesn't really. I don't know how it connects to like Silent Hill per se because I know they're rebooting everything. but I played maybe 45 minutes of it. It's supposed to be short, like 2 hours. People were saying they were getting through it in about a couple hours. And the game's environment is, and you're in this like apartment tower that's been abandoned, and there's like graffiti everywhere, and there's themes like there was like 2 or 3 messages already when you're playing the game about like warnings about like mature content and themes of like suicide and self-harm and stuff. I was like, wow, it's pretty heavy.
That's pretty heavy,
So
right?
yeah, and then I guess the main bad guy or whatever, like the pyramid head version in this game, is a monster that chases you around. It looks like a oh man, what it was like some sort of like flower head or something
Hmm.
like that, because it relates to one of the characters in the game. They're like just like graffiti art, and you're trying to figure out like where this person is. And the main character is like really messed up too. She's like the worst. She's like the most negative self talk ever. She's like, oh, like constantly like hating on herself, which is like, man,
Uh,
can you like chill a bit? Because it's like
hey,
it's
did you
like
get scared at any moment in the game?
no, I didn't. I mean,
No.
it's kind of freaky, like it's good environments and stuff. I don't know
Hmm.
how this relates to like Silent Hill per se. And some of the dialogue was kind of a little bit like laughable because it's like
Oh
this
my
high
gosh.
school girl, and
So,
yeah, it's kind of came across as like cringe on a couple
hmm
lines. Um,
was it
but
like
I'm gonna finish it.
Resident Evil style, like back in the day, cringy dialogue?
No, this was more just like weird writing or just translation issues or something. But I
Okay.
know like some of the Silent Hill team, original team, is like the monster designer and the music person is making this game. I'm not really sure. We'll talk about it more when they, as part of the state of play. But so far it's pretty interesting. I'm gonna finish that because it's so short, and then go from there. Um, did you want to get into the 2 games you played, and then we'll kind of circle back and then talk about a game that we both played together co-op?
Yeah. So I've been
Mm-hmm.
playing a Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. It's a demo on the PlayStation Store. This game was announced in August of 2016. It's an action role-playing game by Games. Um, Originally, Platinum Games was going to collaborate with them. Well, they were actually for a few for a few years, and they said in February 2019, they said, "Hey, we're leaving, so you can finish this game." So it's kind of wild that this game was delayed multiple times because of that, and it actually released today, February 1st, 2024. And from what I played, the combat was pretty cool. They had this really cool feature that I wish all RPGs have to have now. So whenever you're playing a game, an RPG game, you just have the dialogue box, right? And you gotta hit X, X, and X, right? Well, they have this feature where if you press triangle, it does it automatically for you. You don't have to wait. And what's cool about this RPG is that they actually have voiceovers. So they actually have voice actors, talking. So to continue the conversation, I thought the art direction was pretty cool. I might pick this up, maybe on Black Friday, but the game was pretty good. Um, I liked
So
it.
there's no relation to Final Fantasy and all that, right? This is just
No,
okay.
none whatsoever. Yeah, I've never heard of this series before. To be honest with you, I just saw it.
Yeah,
It's being plastered everywhere actually as advertisements from
you
Sony
told me
side.
about this game. I was like, what is this? Like I've never heard of this game.
What is? Yeah, that's what I said whenever I hit demo. Oh, demo. I'll try it out.
Uh-huh.
What is this? But moving on to Mortal Kombat 1 on PS5. So I've been playing Invasions. I've been going back to see here and there like what downloadable characters because I bought the combat pack are available, and then I just saw that Quan Chi was the last one, so I went back, inserted my game, downloaded Quan Chi, and I started playing Invasions. And what Invasions is, it's like a combining of the Crypt, Conquest, and Towers of Time modes from the previous games. And this is supposed to like kind of be the filler after you get done with the main campaign. And if you get tired of playing with your friends online, you can jump onto this by yourself. And it's like a board game, basically, right? I kind of don't like it. I kind of feel it's taken away. I do miss the crypt. I feel like without the crypt, this game feels incomplete, and there's just no reason for me to play. I can't, and the fights feel so short that whenever I just beat an enemy, it's too soon. I didn't get a fight. It's just like a load screen fight, load screen within like in less than 3 minutes. I'm not digging this mode, but I was playing it to see if I can download Peacemaker because he's about to release soon. And like I said, it was just Quan Chi that I had to download. I don't know about this game. You know, I think they kind of the roadmap they placed on themselves. It's not that good. I feel like they could have done a better job with this game with the content.
I know like a lot of people were saying like I guess like every Mortal Kombat goes through this for like the hardcore fighting community. Like the Mortal Kombat games kind of like fall off
Yeah.
at some point, like, whether it be 6 months or a year or whatever. But a lot of people I was seeing online were saying like this game fell off especially fast.
Oh yeah, so fast. I mean, they messed up Scorpion. That's my main, right? And then they do this to
Mm.
us in terms of, hey, the combat pack, we're gonna spread it out. It just sucks. I'm not digging this. I kind of hope. I know Ed Boon has commented saying that there's more things to be announced. Kind of like hinting like an aftermath situation with MK11. Where they add this expansion later on. This ain't it. I hate it.
So like after beating the story mode, and then that's pretty much it, right? Because like there's not a lot of extra content to do.
No, you're just waiting. That's the bad
Mm.
thing. And waiting is not good for a player, and especially in a fighting game. I mean, you can kind of get away with that in Call of Duty, I feel like, but a fighting game, I don't think so. Because when you're playing Call of Duty, you're playing with friends and other people. Here, you're just facing one other person. That's it.
Yeah, I know like there was some issues too with the online uh quality and stuff people were talking about. So I think yeah, I know I do know a lot of people were like kind of ragging on MK1 here. Like, yeah, they either rush this out or it's not complete, or they're just selling you packs later. I don't know what the deal is, but
And remember, they actually had an edition where you can play early access on this. I feel bad for that person. I can't imagine spending that much money for this game.
yeah, to play it like 2 days early or something.
Yeah, yeah, it's not even that long.
Um, all right, well, that's kind of disappointing to hear because I still need to get back into Mortal Kombat 1. I bought it at launch. I think I beat you repeatedly online. Remember that? And
Uh,
I just kept like laying the smackdown on you, and you
were
just gave
you were
up.
you sleeping when you did that? Because that
No,
did
I
not
was
happen.
I was fully awake. It was great. You don't remember that?
We're gonna
I
stream
kept
that we're gonna stream that.
so you're telling me you don't remember me repeatedly beating you in Mortal Kombat 1?
We have the record. We have the win loss records
Uh,
online. Remember?
yeah. No, actually, yeah, I'm just messing around. Lewis beat me. I think I maybe won a couple rounds, but you,
1 round. That's it.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
And I love how you continue to lie through in the plural rounds.
yeah. I mean, you add those rounds up, that equals to a win. That's to
Tim's
me.
great.
That's
Tim's great at
yeah.
Mortal Kombat for one thing: just practice.
It's practice, yeah.
Yeah.
But I never. I need to go back to it actually because I do want to play the story mode at least.
Hmm.
And I did want to kind of that was my goal when I bought the game. I'm like, okay, I'm actually gonna play this fighting game and stick with it because it was either this or Street Fighter 6,
Hmm.
and I went with Mortal Kombat 1. I was like, all right, I'm gonna play it, and then I just never went to. I
Kind of
think
feel like
I think I
I
played you, and
wish
that was it.
WB said let's stick with this game. I kind of feel like it's
Mm.
forgotten.
Yeah, I don't know if this game had some issues with the development or what was going on, but I know like a lot of people, like we were talking about earlier, like the fighting community was kind of down on it. Um, Especially I think people were saying Street Fighter 6 has more content, and Tekken 8 just came out, so I think people are switching to that as well. But I think
Hmm.
yeah, I think MK1, the consensus seems to be it was sort of a disappointment.
Yeah, we all kind of have that high at the beginning because we're just like, man, what's gonna happen with the story, right? What Scorpion's brothers with Sub-Zero? And then for this to all come about with the content being so disappointing, it's just like we're just playing the waiting game. And quite frankly, there's so many games out right now. I just can't wait.
Yeah, I think maybe they'll add more content later on or whatever the issue is, but it's a lot of competition. Like I said, Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8 and other games coming out that you're not going to be waiting around for them
Yeah,
to
I can't
fix this
wait.
up.
Mm-mm.
But so the last game we're going to talk about here that we both played together was a co-op experience that we played on PlayStation 5.
Did we play together? Because
Oh, did we? I don't. Oh,
we
you're
did
right. Yeah,
not.
we did not. We did not actually play because it's okay. We'll get into it. So basically, the game is Evil West on PlayStation 5. It's part of PlayStation Plus's free one of the free games for the month. So basically, if you have the basic tier
Essential?
of PlayStation Plus, yeah, it's part of the monthly games for. I think it was last month. Yeah, because
Yes,
this month
January.
there's going to be new games for February. So it's still part of January. You can get this added to your account. So basically, this is the reason why we were going to play this was it's a co-op game that it's a third person shooter where it's kind of got this like Red Dead Redemption style cowboys old school thing mixed with like vampires in this setting. So I'm like, okay, I remember when this came out. It came out in 2022, I believe, and I wanted to play it at the time, and then I just never picked it up. I kind of forgot about it.
Mm-hmm.
So we were gonna play this co-op, and this game does this like really dumb thing where you have to like do this long tutorial just to unlock the co-op ability. And I thought,
Yeah,
okay, well, we saw it, and I'm like, all right, well, tutorial, right? It's probably like 5 minutes, right? How long? How long did we play for? Or how long?
we
We were
we
chatting on PlayStation like lobby.
yeah, we were playing for like 55 minutes, and we're like, when is this tutorial gonna? It doesn't even tell you. You're going
Yeah,
literally through boss fights and all this, and it doesn't
it
tell you that you're
it
done with the tutorial to invite your friend.
it was way past the tutorial because I'm thinking like, okay, it shows you how to shoot and
Mm-hmm.
do little mechanics. This was like a full fledged like chapter in the game,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't even that interesting. Everything looked orange. I don't know why everything was orange. I think it was because like there was like a sun setting, and then the next chapter you're in, or the next area you're in, you're like underground, trying to find this like vampire headquarters or something, and the enemy
Yeah.
design was so just
It was
lame.
bad. They put in more effort into putting spiders everywhere in that one level where you drop down to a cave or mine or whatever.
Yeah, it was like a mine, and there was like literally spiders like just crawling everywhere. I mean, it was like
Everywhere. It
literally
was
the most,
exaggerated.
yeah, the most spiders you could ever see in a video game. Like had that level, had it right there. It was like insane amount of spiders.
Yeah.
Like this,
The guns.
the spider budget for this game was like
Oh,
insane.
yeah. The guns
Um,
were pretty bland as well. The shooting wasn't that good. It was kind of very
yeah,
stiff.
the shooting was not great. It didn't feel really solid, and it's a third person game, so you basically had like the tutorial took you through like melee combat and then learning how to shoot, and then you got a second weapon, and it just never felt good. And it does that thing where like it just throws like a ton of enemies at you, and you're in like in a closed room. You got to kill them all, and then you go to the next
That's
stage.
what that's what we
Uh-huh.
needed each other, but we couldn't because they didn't let us know. Hey, you're done with the tutorial.
No, you could. Yeah, you can't invite any friends until you finish the tutorial, and it basically felt like a third person action game from like the PlayStation 3 era.
Yeah, like 2000. I'll say this right here: Army of Two was better than this crap.
Yeah, Army of Two was a fantastic game. They need to bring that back. This was not at that level, but it really felt like it was from that like 2011 2010 era of games for like PS3 and Xbox 360. It was I was like really disappointed because I was like looking forward to this game, and then
Yeah, we were gonna pay for this.
I know we were I was gonna drop like $60 when this came out. Um, the issue too. So we finally got to the tutorial mission. You fought these. I had no idea what was going on in the storyline either. They just throw characters at you, and
Yeah,
makes none of it makes sense. Like they don't do any sort of explanation at all, like what's going on. So when we finally finished well, separately, we both finished the first boss fight, and then you go to this other area. So then you can finally invite your friends, and then we see in the option in the menu, it's like so if you invite your friend to play this game co-op, that person does not keep their progress. So the only person that keeps the progress in the story is the
it's the host.
host. So I'm
Hmm.
like, dude, really? That's like some 2008 like online co-op stuff. So I just deleted the game off my hard drive after that. I was like, there's no point because if we play together, you don't get to keep your stuff. Like, what's the point of that?
Yeah,
Like
there's no point. Yeah,
for a co-op,
it's a very dated game that just came out recently in 2022. Like that's awful.
Yeah, so we actually did not end up playing this co-op because I'm not downloading this again. It's
And
done.
this is and I've been wanting to play a co-op, forever. Kind of like
Hmm.
this in this vein. I was like, man, this is probably gonna be like Army of Two. This was crap.
Yeah, there's a reason why this game was free for PlayStation
Yeah,
Plus, which is really
very soon.
disappointing.
Hmm.
Um, and like I said, I was interested in the game when it first came out because like the design and the kind of mixing of different worlds with like the cowboy stuff and then like the western with the vampires, but it just doesn't, the enemy
Yeah,
designs, everything to
the
the game was
protagonist.
just,
I didn't even know who he was. He was just
I
this
have
guy. He
no
was just this
idea.
guy. That's it.
No idea who the guy was.
Literally no
It was very
backstory.
disappointing. And I actually looked it up. I'm like, who's the team that made this? It was Flying Wild Hog.
Hmm.
And if you're not familiar with that studio, they made the um, Shadow Warrior franchise reboot games. So
That's
Shadow
crazy.
Warrior 1 through 3. Those games are awesome. Like those games are fantastic. I
And what the
loved
heck is this? What
I don't
happened
know what
here?
happened. Like if you haven't played the Shadow Warrior games, they're on consoles and they're on Steam. Go check those out. You could probably get those pretty cheap. Um, Shadow Warrior 1, it's a fantastic game. I played that on Steam like years ago. So I was really surprised like this was the same studio because Evil West was just not, I don't know. I don't know if it gets better like once you play a co-op, but like again, we're not gonna play co-op if one person doesn't get to keep their, I think it was
Yeah,
like, oh, you can keep your stats or something, but you don't keep like story progression or something. It was something so
yeah.
lame
It was
that
very lame.
we were like forget about it. We're not gonna do
We
this.
shouldn't be dealing with that in
Mm-hmm.
2024.
So that's what we've been playing for the past week. If you do want to check that Evil West game out or just add it to your account, it should be free for the next couple of days for PlayStation Plus. But
Play something better.
yeah, I don't recommend it. But um, moving into the next part of the show here, we're going to talk about some TV and movie news, just a few items here. So they announced that the actress for the upcoming Supergirl character is going to be Millie Alcock, who is going to be in the new DCU universe under James Gunn. And she's going to be playing Supergirl, aka Kara Zor-El, who is, I believe, Superman's cousin. And she is a 23-year-old Australian actress who recently was featured in the uh, what is that show? Game of Thrones. That's the show. Game of Thrones spinoff, House of Dragon, where she played young princess
Oh, that's on Max.
Rhaena
Yeah.
Targaryen. That's, I don't know who that is. I
Oh,
haven't
I
seen that
can't
show.
pronounce that.
So this, I think she's going to be in a Superman movie or something before the Supergirl movie because they're doing a Supergirl movie based on Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which was a limited series from a couple years ago, comic book series by Tom King, which I believe was a 12 issue series that was really popular on the DC side. Like once they announced like all this James Gunn stuff and him doing the universe, like that comic sold out, and all those issues went up in price like really really high if you're like a comic book collector. But and even like the trade paperback sold out too. So she's going to be
Oh
Supergirl. I
wow.
don't know. I don't know when that movie's coming out, but that's that they have like the actress now, the face of the character. Are you looking forward to the James Gunn stuff coming out?
Yes, I am. Just based on his work, like on Guardians of the Galaxy, and the guy has such a great creative mind from all his projects. So yeah, I'm looking forward to DC's projects more compared to MCU, just because of what the some of the content we've covered already. So I'm ready for James Gunn. I don't know about you. What do you think?
Yeah, I do want to see his movies because all the DC movies have basically sucked. Um, most of them have been just boring.
Yeah.
I
Well,
haven't really been to them.
except for the Batman that came out recently. That's the only good thing that was pretty good.
Yeah, but I think even that's like its own unit. It's like its own thing. It's not even
Yeah.
really connected. So that was a great movie. But like the new stuff like Aquaman and Justice League and Wonder Woman, like who cares? Like they're just
Yeah, nobody cared.
and nobody cares about them. But
Especially after Wonder Woman 84. To me that's where I was like, yeah, this universe is not
mhm.
that good.
No, yeah, they need to just nuke it, which they're basically doing. So I think he's the right guy to do it. And when they announced all this stuff, like all the comic books, so I read a lot of comic books and I collect them too. And all those anything that was basically tied to James Gunn, that for characters and storylines that he was inspired by, like all those went up in value a lot. So this Supergirl one, it was like it's another one that's a recent book that's kind of been like, I don't know what the word would be, like lured in. Like it's basically like it's like a thing now, like a
Mm-hmm.
like an iconic story, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's something to look forward to. And another movie that's coming out this March, actually, March 22nd, is a new Ghostbusters film. So I had no idea they were even doing a new Ghostbusters until I saw the
Me
trailer
either.
for this.
Me either.
So the movie is called Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I think the hook of this movie is that a lot of the old characters from the original movie are coming back. So Bill Murray's in it, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, and Annie Potts. They're all returning to play their characters from the old movie. And it's a follow up to 2021's Ghostbusters Afterlife with Paul Rudd, who is the main character. I never saw it. I think that movie bombed, if I recall. I think, right? Or
I couldn't tell you. I don't know anybody that watched it.
no. So this one is going to be directed by Gil Keenan, who did the previous film from 2021. And it's co-written by Jason Reitman, whose dad actually directed the first two movies from the 80s.
That's
So that's
pretty
kind of
cool.
that's how old these movies are. Where the guy's son is now doing the new movies.
I'm surprised Bill Murray's doing these movies because he didn't want to do them for a long time.
Yeah, so the first movies actually came out in 1984 in the summer. So it's almost 40 years old. I don't really
Wow.
know. Like, I think I saw like an article about this or something. But like, who, like, because like the people that like the original Ghostbusters, they don't like these new movies. So like, I don't know who this movie's for, because they're trying to like obviously do like the nostalgia thing. But like the people that would like
Yeah,
watch the movie, they're like, I'm not gonna watch this crap.
it's
Like,
kind of, yeah, it is kind of weird because, for example, I have an older brother who watched those original movies. I kind of want to see. I kind of want to hear his opinion on if he's gonna see this or not, or what he thought about
Mhm.
Ghostbusters Afterlife. Because he's never mentioned it to me, but you're definitely right in that sense that they're the OG people who watched the first movie don't really like the newer movies.
Yeah, like
Mm.
if you were around in like in '84, let's say you saw him when you were like 10 or like 15 or something, like you're like in your 50s now,
It's
and
crazy.
you're like going to see like even like Bill Murray and all those guys, they look like super old. But the story is basically they come back to help New York with his ghost problem, and
Yeah.
there's like a secret artifact that's found, and there's something like affecting like the weather. It's going to bring another ice age or something. It's a pretty long trailer. Um, I don't know. I don't know if the hook of like the nostalgia is going to be enough
Yeah.
to.
I, it's not that I don't like the movies or anything like that, the original ones, because I've only seen the original.
They're they're
Uh,
they're awesome.
yeah,
Those
they're great,
first
but it's
yeah first two.
like I don't care about Ghostbusters in that sense. Like I don't know, like Jurassic Park. You get me? Like you know how there was Jurassic
Mm-hmm.
Park when we were kids, and then they made Jurassic World and all that, and they put some of the original cast in the newer ones. I was excited about that, but when it comes to Ghostbusters, I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Right. So that's I mean it's kind of interesting concept bringing like the old characters back, but that's
Hmm.
coming out this March. And there's a we'll have the link to the trailer in the show notes if you want to check that out. And kind of the next topic here is that Ewan McGregor, who played Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show on Disney Plus, as well as in the Star Wars 3 prequel films in the late 90s to early 2000s, he was kind of doing an interview for Variety, and he kind of mentioned how it was hard to do those Star Wars movies after the first one came out and everybody hated it. So he even says in the interview he was quote very reluctant to play Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he goes on to say, "I'm happy that I am this character for a lot of people, but when these films came out, they were so disliked that was
Yeah.
hard. The first one was panned, and we still had to make another two. It was weird to be in a film that was hammered. Yeah, it's crazy how people like hated these movies, but we talked about it on the last show.
Yeah.
How this was basically our Star Wars for our
Yeah.
generation.
Well, do you think it's that same thing with like Ghostbusters? Like the OG people saw like the prequels and said, "This ain't it. I don't like
Yeah,
this."
like there's definitely that tangent where like
That
people
overlap. Yeah.
who watch the original stuff or anything, they always hate the new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see like Star Wars movies would be viewed as pretty bad.
Yeah.
The third one, what was it? Not Attack of the Clones. Was that
Revenge
Attack
of
of
the
the Clones?
Sith.
Revenge of the Sith. That was a great movie.
That was a great, yeah.
That was a great movie.
His duel,
Hmm.
Anakin. Oh, great stuff. And I love the Obi-Wan series on Disney Plus. I enjoyed it from beginning to the end. I hope they end up doing a season 2.
Yeah, he said like we're not sure if we're. He said I would love to do the second season, but there's no talk of it yet. There is a lot going on at Disney. End quote. But that's a show they need to bring back because it was like kind of like a perfect combination of like nostalgia mixed with like new
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, you know what's funny? I love I forgot which, it might have been Rolling Stone. I don't know, but there was a cover of Obi-Wan and Darth Vader kind of dueling, with the lightsabers as a cover, and I just love the headline, the big rematch, right? And I'm just like, I've seen the Star Wars films, you know what happens, in A New Hope, right? But just that big rematch, I thought that was great marketing.
Yeah, that's a cool thing. I just thought this article was interesting because he was like, "Yeah, we got hammered, and it was like so weird just to do. We had to make two more movies of this, and everybody hated it."
Yeah.
I think people have maybe started to come around, like most of like the nostalgia stuff, but I know like the
Uh-huh.
OG people still hate those prequel movies. But yeah, they're like 25 years old because like the first movie was 1999, so
Insane.
we're going on. The other two movies were like the early 2000s as well. So it's definitely like super old. We're getting up there as far
Oh,
as
don't
that.
remind me, bro.
Yeah. But
My
I
bad.
think there is this nostalgia for that Star Wars series there.
Hmm.
Even like Hayden Christensen, who played Anakin. There's kind of
Anakin.
like people have come around on him as well. So I
I
hope
get
they do it.
excited seeing him in any clip now. It's
Yeah, they
amazing.
hated him. They hated him back. His acting was kind of rough in the old movies, but um, it I do like those Star Wars movies. There is an aspect I do like about them,
Yeah,
but
especially Revenge of the Sith. So awesome.
mm. Yeah, I can't imagine like Ewan McGregor being on the set. I'm like, damn, I gotta do two more of this crap. I gotta make two more movies of this. What did I sign up for?
He's probably thinking on set, man, this sucks. Do I suck?
Yeah, it's like that'll like kill your confidence. Like, oh
Yeah.
man. But he ended up being one of the bright spots of those movies, definitely. So, getting into some game stuff. Since we didn't do a show last week, there was some big news last week related to game industry layoffs. Pretty significant one with the Microsoft and the Xbox team essentially laying off a huge number of employees that we didn't get to talk about last week because we didn't do a show. But we just wanted to kind of talk about that briefly. So what ended up happening was last week, the Xbox team laid off 1,900 people across their game studio companies. And this is following the Activision Blizzard merger that was supposed to be so great because you're going to get Call of Duty on Game Pass. And it's so great that this billion-dollar corporation is merging and consolidating all the game studios. And it's going to be so awesome. And Flowers and everybody. And now they're 1,900 people are out of a job,
Which is insane
essentially.
to me. Which is
Mm-hmm.
insane to me because they literally overtook Apple as the number one company in the world, and they still laid off 1,900 people.
Oh yeah, their stock was they've never been more successful. Like their value as a company is, I think a lot of it has to do with like the emerging AI and all that. I know I was reading some stuff about that. Like their stock price has gone up. Like they're the most valued company right now, and it really sucks because that's like a huge number of people. And everyone was saying like a lot of people like, oh, there's not going to be any issues with this merger. It's going to be great for the industry,
Corporate
Xbox,
talk,
yeah, all this stuff, and all these people lost their job, which usually happens with these mergers. And it was across basically a lot of the Xbox teams. So a lot of people are probably at Activision and other studios as well. But that's a lot of people, and I think they even put out like some press release. It was like, oh, this gives us the ability to make better games and stuff. I'm like, okay, that's who cares? Like,
yeah.
it's so I don't know. It's like the whole thing was like like poor Xbox. They're in third place. You know, it's like the big bad Sony's trying to put them out of business and all this other crap from like the uh the merger and the kind of not really a lawsuit, but the court documents that were coming out and stuff. And I really kind of think this puts like, you know, Phil Spencer, who was the head of the Xbox team, that like whole good guy Phil meme. I think that needs to be like put to rest because this
Oh,
guy is just
100%.
he's just another corporate guy. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about anything but making money for the company. He's not your friend. You
He
know,
cares about his Switch, though. I'll tell you that. He always
of
has it in the
course.
back.
Yeah, people are like, "Well, Phil Spencer's a great guy because he wears game shirts of games that I remember from 25 years ago." It's like the guy doesn't care. Like he doesn't care about you. He's just another CEO, right? He's like
Yeah,
that's basically all he is. And
it's another
I don't
suit.
know, just another suit. And like that's so many people to like get laid off. And it was even worse was when they laid these people off. Like they didn't really tell people ahead of time. Like, okay, well these are the departments affected, and you know,
That's
here's the
awful.
people. I think a lot of people were contacting even some journalists, like, "Hey, am I on the list? Am I going to get laid off?" Like they didn't even know if you're getting laid off before they made this
Oh,
announcement.
that's awful.
So it really kind of gets into the perspective of like him saying, "Oh, we care about the developers and we care about the gamers and all this other crap." It's all just crap.
Yeah,
It's just BS. And I don't know if that merger is good for the game industry, especially under Microsoft.
I
Um,
think it's not.
I mean, I know, like, okay, you get your Call of Duty on Game Pass, but is that really worth the negatives to it? You
It's
know,
not
like I
worth
don't,
it. It's not worth
especially
it.
when this comes out and they try to save face and be like, oh, this gives us ability to make better games, or this was a hard decision, or whatever. It's typical, just like they just don't care
PR.
about you.
It's all PR.
Yeah, they don't care about you. So I don't know. I think that whole, you know, Phil Spencer's your friend and he's a gamer, just like he don't care about you, man. He don't care about you. And another thing related to the Xbox layoffs was they either eliminated or completely restructured a department that works with physical game media on the retail side. So actually putting the retail games in stores. I think they completely eliminated that department
Oh
as
my
part of
god.
this, as part of the restructuring and layoffs. So it kind of goes further into that field of Xbox going digital only. I believe there was an article. I don't know who what outlet did that, but I think they said like Xbox really only has 10% of retail. So like games that are sold on the Xbox platform, it's only 10% is like a physical disc, and most of it is digital download. And
Hmm.
I believe either 40 to 50% of games are bought on Xbox on the Xbox Series S, which is the lower costing digital only console version. So they're kind of, you know, I think PlayStation was maybe 40% retail, and I think Switch was maybe 50 around those numbers. So Nintendo's still leading the physical side. Sony's pretty up there as well, but Xbox has basically just tanked that, and this kind of goes along with that. And there was another story too about, you know, Walmart potentially getting rid of Xbox games at some
Physical.
point. Physical games. I know in
That's
Europe
that's crazy.
they're doing that, so it's like they're kind of moving to this all digital future. Um,
What do you think about that, Sam? Considering that you
I
like to collect games.
Yeah, I do. I don't like it. I don't think it's beneficial to the consumer. I think having less options, and basically anyway too, like the Xbox discs at this point were basically just installs. Like there wasn't any, a lot of the games weren't even on the actual disc. It was basically just a prompt to
Do
install
you
the
think
games.
that's them to push them to get like a subscription on Game Pass? Because
That's what they want. Hmm.
every time I boot up Starfield and I have the disc version, it always asks me, "Hey, you need to get Game Pass." I'm like, I have the disc right here in the console. I have to eject it and put it back in.
Yeah, they want everybody on Game Pass. That's the digital future for them, and I don't know. I think after that massive layoffs and all that, I don't know. I'm kind of like it's kind of like a sour feeling on the Xbox brand right now. For me,
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah, I agree.
So, but that was some of the news from last week, the major stuff with Xbox. A lot of changes going on there. And probably not a lot of the good. So we'll see where that lands up with the physical games and where they take that. Because the next Xbox console is going to be digital only
Oh, of course,
for
yeah.
sure.
I'm not looking forward to that.
No. So the big news for this week was that we talked about a little bit earlier on the show was Sony's State of Play presentation that took place on Wednesday afternoon, which was January 31st. And this was the first State of Play for Sony, basically highlighting some of their games that are coming out in the next couple of months and some other major projects for the PlayStation brand. So Xbox did their developer direct earlier in January, and now it's kind of Sony's time to do that as well. And the presentation was streamed on YouTube. It was about over 40 minutes long. And they talked about, I think, maybe 15 or so games. A lot of just kind of trailers and deeper dive presentations. And we can kind of get into the games that they went into here. The first game they were really showing off was Stellar Blade, which is coming out on April 26th, which is a PS5 exclusive from Shift Up, which is a South Korean studio that's been around for about a decade. They were doing mobile games, and this is their first mainline console game, which is going to be exclusive to the PlayStation 5. And this looked pretty interesting. This is the first time I was hearing about this game. It looks to be like an action third-person game set in like a post-apocalyptic thing, but it's got like an anime feel to it, but not fully.
At
And
least the main character does, right? I mean, I kind of
yeah,
felt she felt like out of place in many of the scenes, but it looked
hmm
great.
yeah. The main character is a I think a younger woman who is the lead of this group of like a post-apocalyptic Earth or planet or something, and they really spent a lot of time on the game. I think it was maybe like close to 10 minutes,
10
maybe.
minutes at least, yeah.
It was pretty long. What did you think about this one?
I loved it. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
buy it at day one, I believe.
Day one.
Just
Okay.
yeah, day one art style, and then have them
Mm-hmm.
explaining the gameplay. Oh, it looked great. I love
Mm-hmm.
hack and slash games, so yeah, for me, I'm getting it day one.
Yeah, I'm gonna see how it turns out because it looks to be like one of the games that they're really heavily pushing as an exclusive for
Hmm.
PlayStation, and this is the first time it was on my radar. It did look pretty interesting, but I'm not really into like the whole like anime type design of it.
Tim hates anime, folks. Just
I hate anime. No, I'm just not. It's not just not for me.
it's
Like
not
it's
his
just not.
thing, yeah.
It's not for
But
me.
hey,
Like
I
yeah.
mean, you give some certain games a chance. I mean, if this ends
Mm.
up being good, I'll let you know.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird because the studio is like really they haven't really done any big console games.
Yeah,
This is their
mobile
first
studio.
one, so it's I don't know. I think it can go either way maybe, but they looked pretty solid and they spent a lot of time on it, so they must be pretty confident in it.
Yeah,
Spend so much time on it. The next game they went into was Helldivers 2, which is coming from Arrowhead Game Studios for PS5 and PC. This is a sequel to the 2015 original game called Helldivers, which was a more of a top-down twin-stick shooter for PlayStation consoles and PC. And now this sequel, Helldivers 2, is a third-person shooter squad-based game. Looked okay. Looked all right.
yeah, it looked okay. I wasn't. I don't know. This game might not be for me. I like third
Mm,
person shooter games, right? But
mm-hmm,
I mean, this is squad based,
mm-hmm.
so I don't know. From my end, uh, I'll just stay in the sidelines for this one. I think.
The original Helldivers, I bought that for PS4. It was a pretty good game, but this is a different design now. It's transitioning to third person shooter. So
Pretty
I don't
interesting.
know.
They're going in that direction
Hmm.
for the sequel.
Yeah, and this studio is known. This is basically like the Helldiver studio. Like that's their kind of what they're known for. So, but that's coming out soon. I believe this month actually, February.
Hmm.
And the next game they showed was called Sonic X Shadow Generations, which is coming from Sega. This is a remaster of 2011's Sonic Generations. I remember when that came out, man.
Oh
2011.
my god.
Whew.
So,
Um,
what's your feeling on this trailer, by the way?
Personally, I don't care about this game. I don't care. I don't care about
When's the
Sonic.
last Sonic game you cared about?
Probably like 1993. I don't really
so,
care about
so you
Sonic.
haven't seen the movies?
No, I haven't seen the movies. I haven't played any. I don't think I played. I do like the Sonic racing games. I will say that
Oh, that's so weird. That's
those are
very
really
interesting.
those are really
Yeah, I
good.
don't know anybody that's mentioned racing games. Like, yeah,
but
Sonic
but
Racing.
the Sonic I remember is from like the 90s on Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
Shout
Well,
out to all the shout out to all the 90s kids out there. Um,
well, I gotta say, there's more fans of the movies than there are the games. I'll leave it at that.
yeah, I do know that. I know the movies have really bumped up the Sonic games, but this looks to be, like I said, a remaster of the 2011 game. But they're going to add some new content with Shadow the Hedgehog, who I guess in this game is going to have a new story campaign. So it's like a remaster, but with some new content in there. And I believe this game, the original 2011 version, was in and of itself like a re-release of like 2D and 3D levels from Sonic games, kind of like a greatest hits compilation type deal. Did you ever play this, the original?
No,
No.
I haven't played a Sonic game since. You're gonna laugh at me because I don't really play PC at all, but I actually own the original games on the PC.
Like the Sonic the Hedgehog 1 through 3 or whatever.
Yes, one through three. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So this is I don't know. I people seem interested in it because it's a remaster of the game. I'm just like every time I see like a remaster for these games that I feel like just came out, but then I have to like remember like this game is 13 years old, like the original.
And it's a Sonic game.
Yeah, and it's a Sonic game. So, but it's going to be on other consoles besides PlayStation. So it's going to be on Xbox, PC. So that's coming from Sega. The next game they showed was this action RPG with another anime design called Zenless Zone Zero. It was kind of a brief trailer. It wasn't for me.
This is from the devs at Genshin Impact, right?
I'm not sure. I know it's a new kind of IP, I believe. Trailer didn't really tell you much. It was kind of short, but again, it's like an action RPG. So I don't know. This is a
It's like
skip
if
for me.
mobile gamers need to charge their phone, they can just get this console version.
I don't know. I'm just anytime I see those anime games, I just kind of like fall asleep. I'm like I'm just not into it. Um, but yeah, that's one of the games they showed. The next one they showed was a brief trailer for Foam Stars, which is that Square Enix game we talked about on the last episode, which is a kind of a multiplayer themed game that's coming out, I believe, next week for PlayStation Plus members. So if you have PlayStation Plus, it's coming out for all users day one. And then they went into Dave the Diver, which is coming to PlayStation 5 and PS4 this April. So that's kind of that indie hit. Well, it's not really. I don't know if you call it an indie game because it's not.
It's
It's
not
owned
really
by a
indie.
major publisher,
Yeah.
but it's a quote unquote indie hit that was been on Steam and stuff. And now it's coming to PlayStation, and there's going to be free Godzilla DLC this May. And any thoughts about that game, or do you care about it, or?
I don't care about it, but seeing Godzilla was pretty badass in the
Mm-hmm.
trailer.
Yeah, this game is really popular. It's got sold a couple million copies on Steam and things like that. So should do well on PlayStation. Then they went into this game called V Rising, which is an action survival game where you play as a vampire. And this has been on Steam since 2002, which was launched in early access, and now it's coming to PlayStation 5 this year. Again, really not for me. Um,
Yeah, I don't care about this either.
so, but yeah, so then they went into some heavy hitters here. They went into a game we talked about at the top of the show, Silent Hill: The Short Message, which is coming from Konami, and it's already out on PlayStation 5, and it's being developed. It's developed by Hexadive, who kind of like a support studio, but they also created Res HD, and they also made the Third Birthday, which was that Parasite Eve game for the PlayStation Portable.
Interesting.
So they kind of done some interesting games, but that's coming from them. And this, I talked about at the beginning of the show, you're playing as like a high school girl, and you're kind of walking around with a cell phone, and her friends keep texting her, and she's just like absolutely miserable. She's like, I'm not pretty, I'm not smart, everybody hates me, all this. It's just like a
I tell
never
myself that
ending.
every day, Tim.
Every day I look in the mirror, I hate myself.
I hate myself.
um no, but it kind of, like I was talking about earlier, it kind of borderlines on like serious, like a really touchy subject versus being
Legitimate
kind of
social
like
issues, yeah.
versus being cheesy, like this is kind of like coming off kind of like unintentionally funny.
Mm-hmm.
um but I did like it. I do like it so far. I'm gonna finish it. The setting's kind of interesting. It's weird. I don't know how this relates to the overall new Silent Hill theme. um but it is a free download, so that's kind of an interesting aspect where they're putting out like a free game, I guess maybe to kind of get the brand out there, promote the Silent Hill. So you can download this for free and play through the whole thing. What did you think about this when you saw the trailer?
I was shocked, especially when they
Mm-hmm.
said that you can play it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Download it. Especially because I hadn't heard Silent Hill since the whole Kojima debacle about, that PT trailer. We were just expecting Silent Hill all this time.
Yeah,
I loved
if
it
they,
though, the trailer.
yeah, if they were doing this like in a traditional like presentation where there was like a crowd of people, that like free to play, oh, it's free to download now, everyone would have been like, all the people in the audience would have been like cheering and going like crazy,
Oh yeah, for sure.
right? It was one of those, that type of thing.
Yeah, I
Because
texted you right away. I believe like, hey, you need to go download this right now.
it's free.
Yeah, it's free,
Yes,
full game.
free. Um, it's an interesting strategy. Like a free short type of thing with the Silent Hill name to it.
Yeah.
I will say it doesn't feel like a Silent Hill game yet. It kind of does with like, because there's that like Pyramid Head style monster chasing you, but it doesn't
Hmm.
feel like the classic Silent Hills.
Hmm.
So it kind of seems like they're moving in a different direction with the series. But right after that, on the state of play, they went into a trailer for Silent Hill 2, the remake of that. That's coming from Bloober Team, who have made like horror games in the past. They recently made a Blair Witch game. There wasn't a release date for this, but it looks okay. I mean, they
I
showed off some
wasn't.
combat.
I
Mm-hmm.
was not impressed by this, Tim.
I didn't get that either. I didn't feel
The animation's
super.
like really poor.
Yeah, I will say it does. It does feel like a 2003 game or whatever. That
Yeah.
original Silent Hill 2 came out, which is regarded as one of the best games ever made.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely regarded as one of the best survival horror games ever made.
Mm-hmm.
So it does still capture that like janky, weird combat feel,
Yeah.
like from the trailer. But it was kind of interesting. There was no release date, and it's going to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive.
It's
So
pretty wild.
it is a big game, because I know that Silent Hill 2, it's really difficult to play now. Like there's really not a lot of
You can't. Yeah,
these,
it's really difficult to play it today. You have to
like
get a
as far
PS2 and great copy
yeah
in good
as
condition.
as far as like accessibility, yeah, they did a remaster in the PS3 and 360 era, but that's kind of regarded
Poor.
as a poor job. So this is another game. It's about 20 years old. So that's coming out. I'm gonna play it because I do want to. I believe I own this. I think I bought this in high school. Um, I think I played a little bit of it. I didn't finish it, but
Okay.
again, it's regarded as one of the best games ever made. So um,
Will you
let's
play Zelda in 35 years when it gets announced? Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom remaster. Yeah, I'll probably play it by then. I'll play it by then. Um, but yeah, Silent Hill 2, that was announced with as a trailer, and then kind of moved on from that. And the next game they showed was this game called Judas by Ken Levine's new studio, Ghost Story Games, which is the main creative mind, I guess you could say, behind the Bioshock games. And it looks like a weird type of Bioshock first-person game. Looks really interesting. No release date. I think it's coming out probably 2025.
Looks
Did
good.
you? Yeah,
I liked it. I
it
just thought
looks
it was,
interesting.
yeah,
Very
just
weird.
the BioShock vibes are there, obviously. So I'm just kind of wondering how he's gonna do without the BioShock, tag name.
Yeah, I mean, the last Bioshock game was in, I believe, 2013. that he was
Infinite.
in, yeah, that he was involved in. So I know his studio and this game development has had a lot of issues.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be kind of something when it finally comes out. But the next games they went into were two PlayStation VR games. If anybody cares about PlayStation VR, if you because I don't really see a lot of buzz for that.
My nephew has the VR, the new one, so I'm kind of
Oh,
curious if
VR
he's gonna
two.
get these. Yeah, I'm kind of curious if he's gonna pick up these games.
So they announced Metro Awakening VR, which is a all virtual reality Metro game based on the Metro franchise, and a sort of RPG action looking fantasy game called Legendary Tales, which looked kind of rough. The Metro game looked a lot better.
Yeah.
That did look
Every time
better.
I see the gameplay for these VR games, you just see the hands, and I
Hmm.
always get reminded of the Mario 64 at the beginning of the menu when you pick your save file, just the hand.
Yeah, yeah. When you're like standing in your living room trying to like not break your TV
Yeah.
from the VR. Um, yeah, I don't know. I know the PlayStation VR. It's like I don't know. I don't know if it's sold well, so they're kind of still putting stuff out for it though. But another game they show was Dragon's Dogma 2 from Capcom, which is coming out March 22nd. That's going to be multi-platform as well. And then they went into Rise of the Ronin by Team Ninja, which is coming out March 22nd as a PS5 exclusive. I really like this game.
Me too.
This looked really
I thought this
cool.
was the headline. I thought they were gonna end with this. I was like, huh, that's not 15 games, but
Yeah. This is a game set in late 19th century Japan. It kind of it's a third person action game. Kind of, I guess maybe I could relate it to like an Assassin's Creed type of game,
hmm
that type of stuff. But looked really great. They were showing off combat, some of the characters and the weapons you can use, and I might get this when it comes out.
me too. Day one.
I think I might get. So this is an exclusive for PS5. It looked really cool, and they did show a lot for this game. They spent a lot of time on it. Um, then they went into Until Dawn, which is going to be a remaster of the 2015 PS4 release. And when I first saw this, I thought this was just a straight port. Like, okay, they're porting it to PS5. To kind of relate, like which we talked about on the last episode of the podcast, they are going to do an Until Dawn movie. It's part of PlayStation, studios on the entertainment side. They're going to be doing a movie on that. But this is actually a more robust release. So it's coming from Ballistic Moon, who is a studio that I believe is owned by Sony. And I don't know. I think this might be the only game they worked on so far, just based on their company's website. So this game is coming out for PS5 and PC. It's going to release this year, according to the PlayStation blog. And it's adding a new third person camera and also new changes to the story to make it, quote, more nuanced and emotional, end quote. And it's going to have new locations, new music composed. And this is a game that originally starred a couple famous actresses as part of the story. Hayden Panettiere, I probably butchered her name. She was in Heroes. She was the main character in Heroes.
Okay.
And Rami Malek. They were the kind of the two main faces of the game. It's kind of like a horror game, like a campy, old school slasher horror type thing.
Uh,
I thought it was really good.
this kind of reads like as a remake. That's kind of weird that they're using
It
the word
it's
remaster.
it's kind of like it feels more like that because you can just play the PS4 version on your PS5. Like it's
Yeah.
backwards compatible.
Yeah.
So this is going to be more extensive. I guess probably because the movie's coming out, they want it kind of lined up with that.
That's pretty cool. Pretty smart
Um,
marketing.
but we'll have the link in the show notes to the PlayStation blog for people can check out, what exactly they're changing. But the headline of the show was two games from Hideo Kojima. So they ended the show with that. The first game was Death Stranding 2, which is now called Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, which is coming out in 2025. And I had no idea what was going on in this trailer. Did you?
Okay, so I played the original game, and I could kind of feel. I feel like one of those people that watch E3 back in the day whenever they saw MGS, the trailers, and they're just wondering what the heck is going on. I felt like that. I didn't know what was going on. I played the original game, never finished it. So seeing this trailer, man, I gotta go play the first game because this looked pretty good to me.
Yeah, you do. I, I don't even think we could describe this trailer properly. Like you kind of, if you're listening
Yeah,
to the show, you have to go watch the trailer. So it basically starts with like this woman character who's got like baby hands around her face, and they're like
yeah.
performing like a surgery on like a body that has like oil all over it or tar. I was like, what is going on here? And then like the game is just so bizarre.
There's a
Um,
there's a guy with a guitar as a gun.
yeah, he's I guess the main bad guy, and he's like shooting um electric bolts out of the guitar, and he's voiced by it sounded like Troy Baker, who was in like literally every single video game ever made.
The baby.
Um,
Where's my Troy Baker?
yeah, yeah. And there's like a baby. I guess they explained that in the first game. No spoilers. I haven't played it yet. I do need to go back, like you said, to play Death Stranding because I do want to check that out and what's going on. But this trailer is so weird. And so the main character is Norman Reedus, who is playing Norman Reedus as Norman Reedus, I believe, because he's just basically just playing the same dude. Like he's not really the character, whoever his name is.
You can literally think this is Daryl from Walking Dead. It's just him.
He plays the same guy now. Yeah, it's just Norman Reedus, but he's got like a little. It's almost like a. So if you know like God of War, where it had like the head, and then
Hmm.
Kratos put the head on his Mimir, and he would like carry the head around. Like they're doing this in Death Stranding too, where it's like a little keychain dude, but he like talks. It's like a little figurine,
Yeah.
which is so
Very
weird.
bizarre.
It's so
Very
weird.
bizarre.
And they're trying to explain like the story in the trailer. It's like, whoa, there's I don't know. Like you got to watch the trailer. I think if you
Yeah.
probably beat the game, it probably makes more sense. But I
I
was
don't.
like, it
Yeah.
did
I
look
don't.
cool.
Yeah, it looked great.
I was just like, what
It made me
is
want to
going
go play
on?
the first game.
Hmm.
Damn it,
And then
Kojima.
like he's just doing like stuff that's like so off the wall. Like all
Yeah.
this stuff is just so insane. But
Well, yeah. Hold
it
on. You forgot to mention that the first part of the trailer, they're literally the character models are like black and white.
yeah, I know Norman Reedus looks like old. Like he looked
Yeah.
like he's like 95 years old. It looks like he's like the like when you like put the setting on your TV like all white, like you
Yeah.
know. Um, but then he like looks younger like in the later part of the game. I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, we don't know what's going on. We can't comment on like story elements,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
just
It,
based on
mhm,
presentation, it's done really well.
mhm,
It makes me want to play the first game and actually finish it. I dropped off after 8 hours after walking. I just got tired of this game. I just stopped.
mhm.
But based on this
Well,
second trailer, I mean the second game for this trailer, man, I gotta play. I gotta play the first game now.
yeah, they did do a lot of updates, and there's a director's cut version of Death Stranding
Hmm.
that kind of I guess is like the ultimate version of the game. But this is another game with the PlayStation partnership between Kojima Productions and Sony, which started with the original Death Stranding. So this is going to be exclusive to the PlayStation and probably PC as well, coming out in 2025. But I think kind of like some of the bigger news, and this was a trailer too that was pretty long, so they did focus a lot of time on it. But I think some of the bigger news, like right after that, they were talking to Kojima, and basically he announced a new tactical espionage game, a la Metal Gear Solid, but they didn't call it Metal Gear Solid because they can't call it that because Konami owns that. And he basically talked for like maybe 2 minutes about what the game's going to be, and it's going to start production. He said after Death Stranding 2, so that's going to be 2025 at the minimum, and then if the game ever comes out, it's going to be what 3 to 4 years later, maybe. Just get
Probably longer.
so you're looking at like probably 2030 on
Two.
PS6, but there was no trailer, there was no nothing. It was just him talking, and he said it's going to blend, movies and music and collaboration with Sony because Sony's doing movies and stuff, and they got their own music um, division as well. Kind of like saying it's going to basically be a blend of interactive media. He wanted to say, Kojima said, quote, "We hope to transcend the barriers between film and video games." So he is going back to the espionage. They did hint at that, like, well, this is Metal Gear Solid, but we can't call it that. So this is a new
Well,
one.
it kind of ended weird though because I
Mhm.
know isn't Sony handling Sony Columbia Pictures handling the Metal Gear Solid movie?
They might be, yeah,
Okay,
whenever
so
that's coming
that's
out.
very interesting that they got this guy who created Metal Gear, and he said to stay tuned and as they pulled away from the room, which I thought was pretty cool, they keep pulling back, and you see the studio lot they're working on, and then they kept pulling back, and you see the Sony Columbia Pictures logo, and I just thought,
Mm,
is this guy working on Metal Gear, like the movie portion? Like, are they
mm.
like? Do you think Sony went to Konami like, hey, we're taking care of the movie. We want to do a movie tie-in. We got Kojima on board.
I don't know. I think there's still like bad blood there. I don't think they're gonna. I don't know what the plan is, but as far as this game, like they kind of hyped it up. Like this is the Metal Gear game you waited for, and this really because collaboration between PlayStation and Kojima on the game side started in like 2015, 2016.
Yeah,
So it's already like 8 years ago.
it's
And
crazy.
by the time Death Stranding 2 comes out, that's 2025. By the time this Metal Gear style game comes out, it's probably like 2030. So if let's say hypothetically it comes out 2030, that's what, like over 30 years since the
Yeah,
first Metal Gear.
yeah,
So
that's pretty interesting.
I guess he had to kind of go and do his own thing, but like I think me personally, like I wanted this type of game to be his first game that he made.
Me too.
Because I was such a huge fan of Metal Gear. It's kind of like if you watch like a Martin Scorsese film or like Christopher Nolan, like you don't want to watch a comedy.
From
You
Christopher
you
Nolan reminds
yeah,
me.
you want to watch like an action movie or like a great like thriller or something that makes
Hmm.
you like think. You don't want to see like a college humor American Pie movie or
Yeah,
whatever. Like, so it's kind of like Kojima did this weird Death Stranding stuff. It's like, okay, can we now get to like the can you go back to
what made you great?
yeah. So I think it's just got to be careful because if you look into like the Metal Gear Solid 5 development, it kind of went off the rails, and he just kept adding stuff to it, and it was like a never-ending thing, and which was one of the reasons why he had a falling out with Konami over the game. So it'll be interesting to see what he does if he can bring that gameplay aspect with like an actual story, like a cohesive new story. That's going to be great. But he's also doing that Xbox exclusive horror game, so this guy is pretty busy.
Not only that, he's the only guy that can get away with announcing games and literally say, "Hey, I can't talk about this game I'm working on.
It's like, yeah, we brought you on this PlayStation show, and we knew you were going to announce this, but we can't talk about it.
We
It's
can't
like,
talk about this." Yeah.
come on, man, like really. But I'm actually interested in that because I think he does that style well, and I do want to go back to Death Stranding, and then there's enough time between now and 25 to play the first game and finish it. So
Be prepared to walk a lot. That's all I'm gonna
yeah,
say.
get
I
those
hope it's different.
Amazon get those Amazon packages delivered. So the that was the PlayStation State of Play. That was the kind of the big ending there with Kojima, um, highlighting the Death Stranding 2, and then his new game that it's not even really being. It's probably just some idea in his head. It's not even like a game that's made yet because they really haven't entered any sort of development yet. But that was the two main games, and there was some good stuff in the State of Play. I thought they did pretty good. Um,
It's better than usual.
they got some good games coming out in the next couple of months. Rise of the Ronin looks really great, and then like you said that you're going to play Stellar Blade, so that
Yes.
might be another one as well. And you got the Silent Hill stuff. So overall, pretty good show. But moving on to a game that's actually out this week. It's going to be out tomorrow, this Friday. Is Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League, which is kind of like a controversial game because this is coming from Arcane Studios, who are known for the Batman Arkham Asylum games. And instead of making another great Batman game or something like that, they went and did a gas game as a service game with the Suicide Squad. This game looks like it came out. It should be coming out in like 2017. It's getting hammered from it was getting hammered from like the pre-release kind of previews. Major media outlets, social media influencers, whatever, regular people were kind of really down on the game. They didn't send out any review codes to the media. IGN even did a post about that saying like we didn't get a copy of the game. So that was kind of weird. I guess maybe because of the bad press.
Yeah,
They didn't send
and
out
they
any.
knew what they had on their hands.
Right. So this is basically one of these squad games where you can, I don't know, the game's a mess. Like just you play as a Suicide Squad and you do missions. It's supposed to be like a live service game, and it just does not look interesting at all. Um, they even messed up the early launch. So this is a game where it had like a early version. If you paid more money, you can play the game a couple days early. And they did an early launch WB games that had to be pulled after an hour because people were automatically somehow beating the game. So they're playing the game and they somehow beat it. It was like a glitch or something. So that's great. um,
It's awful.
I don't know. I think graphically, like the characters look great, but everything from like the gameplay perspective is just looks really boring. And I know
Uh,
like a lot of people were playing it already and were saying like, yeah, the missions are just really brutal. Like,
I wanted to
um,
comment on your comment on the graphics. I've seen footage. Arkham Knight still looks way better than this. And that game
isn't
came
that
out a long time ago.
isn't that incredible? How because like a lot of people are saying that how great those Batman games looked.
Yeah.
Like they have not even like new games now. Like they don't look as good as that.
No way. Yeah. Batman Arkham Knight was just a sight to see.
It's a fan, and that game came out in like 2015. That was a fantastic game.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the studio should have worked on. Like this is like I don't know if they were like they wanted to do this or they were like forced to,
I think
but
they were forced.
and this game was delayed a long. It's been delayed a couple times, and it's been like just
Mess. Just a big mess.
you can't polish a turd basically. And like I don't know if you've seen like the menu, but the overlay menu when you're just playing the game, it's there's so much stuff on the screen. It's like it's like just
It feels
bad
like a
UI.
job getting through the menu.
Yeah, I don't know. And the previews or I guess the reviews at this point of people actually playing the game, they're not good. Um, I'm sure they'll support it, WB. I don't think it's going to go away after like a month, but I don't know if the player base is going to be there, and I think it's a dud.
I'll wait for Black Friday.
Um, yeah, I don't even know. I don't even know if I'll play this. I don't know. I don't even think it's worth the time, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
There's like so many games out there. Like you're gonna release something like this. It's a live service game where they're just gonna shove like DLC down your throat and buy cosmetics, and it's just like it's just not. I don't think the core gameplay loop people are saying is not great. So I don't know if people
Oh.
are gonna stick with this. And these live service games, man, it's like they're chasing
It's like
money. That's
yeah. It's like they fumbled the Batman IP really bad. Gotham Knights and now this.
hmm Yeah, I don't. This is not the game that people wanted with the Suicide Squad or the DC property for
Mm-mm.
sure. But I just thought that was funny. They early launched it and immediately had to take it down. They fixed it now, but like how do
That's
you like beat the game? Like how does that even
right
happen?
away.
How does it happen? Like I've
Yeah.
never heard of that happening before. Um, so going on to another game that people actually wanted and they're not going to get now was a Deus X or Deuce X. What's the best way to say that? How do you do
Deuce X.
Deuce X? So Embracer Group, everybody's favorite game publisher company, they canceled a Deus Ex game that was in development for around 2 years, and it was supposed to enter production this year. And some employees are getting laid off as a result. I believe 97 people.
Man, that sucks.
And this was coming from Eidos Montreal. And the last game in the franchise was the X Mankind Divided in 2016. And there was a reboot of the franchise a couple years prior to that was really popular. But a lot of people were mad about this because they
I feel
wanted
like
that new
Embracer has
game.
just sucked completely owning these studios.
They've done an awful job. Everybody should be fired.
Yes.
Everybody at the top should be fired, and they
Mm-hmm.
should, I don't know. I think the deal with Embracer is like they were buying up all these studios, and they were waiting on some Saudi money to come in,
Mm-hmm.
and that fell through, and now they have all these studios, and they don't have the money for them.
Mm.
But that's a big game to cancel.
Yeah, that
Deus
is.
Ex. That's a major IP. It's not like some willy nilly like some new game. Okay, well whatever. It's a long time for people to be working on something to get canceled, but that's a major brand game that people would be interested in.
Yeah. That's like if Half-Life got canceled,
Mm-hmm.
That's sad, and I feel bad for those 97 people. That's just awful.
So I don't know if this. I don't know when we'll see the game to say SX. I don't know when that will be a thing.
Yeah,
Because if they cancel this, like, are they going to go back to the drawing board with it? Probably not.
probably not. They're just gonna be
Right.
like, no, let's cut our losses now.
It's probably going to be dormant for a while. I do want to play those. Have you played those two games that came out? PS3 era.
I did one,
Uh-huh.
just the one that was on PS3. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. They're supposed to be really good. Supposed to be really good, really popular games. But yeah, a
Hmm.
lot of people were really upset about this, especially because of the franchise that they canceled.
Yeah,
Um, and just real quick to talk about another game that came out last week while we didn't do a show was Tekken 8. Came out to really good review scores, a lot of buzz around it. What do you think about Tekken 8?
I played the demo. I liked it. I'm eventually gonna pick it up to fulfill that itch that I have for fighting games. Tekken is probably my second favorite game franchise behind Mortal Kombat and the fighting genre. I just like Kazuya Mishima so much. That's my main on Tekken. What about you?
Yeah, I want to get this. I really want to play this. Have you seen the meme? It's like an old Tekken meme where like what was the dude, the King, the cheetah guy,
Yeah.
or it was like it's like a throwback. It's like Steel is Fit,
Oh,
where you could like wear his
his
outfit,
sweatpants.
his sweatpants, like a little jogger pants and like his little t-shirt. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really want to play this game. I think I'll probably pick this up like within the next month or so.
Oh, really?
But I just wanted
Do,
to highlight it on the
do,
show because it came out last week.
do you think you can drop me in this game?
Oh, no question. You're already beat. You're already cooked. You're already cooked, man. It's a done deal.
We'll stream
It's
this
done.
live on pay-per-view.
It's already, yeah, live on Twitch.
Yeah, live on
Send us your
Twitch.
money. Send us your money. I always liked Tekken back in the day. Tekken was always my, I think, fighting game on the original PlayStation.
Tekken 3
Especially,
especially, I bet.
yeah, Tekken Tag Tournament. I really liked. I haven't played the latest Tekkens, so I was kind of looking forward to maybe checking this out at some point. They get really good review scores, so people were, seem to be doing well.
It's kind of crazy
Um,
though. I want to make a note that Street Fighter and Tekken are doing so well, and Mortal Kombat's kind of lag behind. That's pretty interesting.
yeah, like we talked about earlier, lagging behind in features and content and just the overall buzz.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, but that's out Tekken on PlayStation, Xbox, and Steam. So another game I talked about at the top of the show, Pal World. Well, just talk about their sales numbers. So the game has sold over 12 million copies on Steam, which is insane, and it's got over 19 million total players, with about over 7 million of those on Game Pass. It's like we mentioned before, it's the biggest third-party launch on Game Pass, and I do think the PC version is ahead of the Xbox in terms of development. And even the development of the game has been pretty crazy. We'll include a link in the show notes. Basically, this game, like, almost like it's a miracle this game even got out the way it did, and has been so successful because I think that the people involved kind of just and just kind of a perfect storm of development. Just like people didn't really have like a lot of experience, and they came together and made this game. Especially selling 20 million copies, which is insane. That's like bigger than Call of Duty. It's bigger than all the major titles right now from a small studio in Japan.
Good. Congratulations to
Um,
them.
so over, and it's going to keep going up. So I think when we did the show the first time, the last show we did of the podcast, the game was sold maybe like 2 or 3 million, and now it's over 12 million.
Incredible.
So on Steam, but moving on to some studio layoffs, some more unfortunately disappointing news. A Polish developer under Devolver Digital, sorry, called Artificier, had some layoffs. 28 total employees. 18 employees were laid off now, and additional 10 will be laid off after their work on an unannounced project. And these guys made only one game so far, I believe. It was called Showgunners. I'm sorry.
Showrunners.
Yeah, a turn-based tactical game on Steam that came out last May. But these guys have fortunately been hit with layoffs, And Devolver became the owner of their studio in January 2021 when they bought their parent company called Good Shepherd Entertainment. So it's like every week there's like game layoffs. Like this has been it's been really bad. We're only in going into the first week of February, and there's been a ton of layoffs. Last year was bad, 2023, tech layoffs, gaming industry layoffs, and it's just kind of never ending. It's never
Yeah, it
ending.
sucks. I hate hearing all this.
Mm-hmm. So best of luck to the people there at the studio and also at I believe Eidos Montreal, who got hit with the layoffs from Embracer Group. Hopefully everybody can land on their feet. And they got to figure out something to stop this, because this is like this game
It's
industry
ridiculous.
bleeding employees, and these people are their whole lives are being uprooted because they're losing their jobs. It sucks. So hopefully, I don't know what the solution is, but hopefully, and we don't see this trend continue throughout the rest of the year, because it's going to be worse. If that's the case, it's going to be worse than last year. So,
Mm-hmm.
but some developers, studio that was closed actually last August, in August 2023, has kind of risen from the ashes and formed a new studio. So Volition, who was the team behind the Saints Row franchise, who were closed down by Embracer. Wow, look at that, Embracer again, right?
Mm-hmm.
They formed a new studio recently called Shapeshifter Games, and I guess they're already working on an unannounced Xbox project. And I guess in the description of the studio from techraptor.net, they are going to be more of a support studio, so helping other studios on projects and games. They are actually based in Champaign, Illinois, so that's kind of interesting. So
Cool.
I'm located in Chicago, so I think Volition was based in Champaign as well. So they have some key members there.
There's some good news for the gaming industry right here. I like
Yeah,
hearing this.
and they do have some other members from Immortals of Avium, which was a EA Originals game that
Mm.
bombed sales wise, and I believe like half the studio was let go. So they picked up some people from there, and like I said, they're going to be. I don't know if we're going to see original stuff from this new studio, Shapeshifter Games, but they are more, I think, aiming to be a support studio for
Yeah,
other projects.
it's better than starving. That's good.
Mm-hmm. So hopefully they are successful, and interested to see what Xbox game they're working on already, because that's pretty quick for just forming the studio. And a game that was really, really popular about a decade ago has been removed from all storefronts. So this is Spec Ops: The Line, which was a game in the Spec Ops franchise that released in June 2012 for the PS3, Xbox 360, and PC. At the time, this game was really renowned for its depiction of war and the soldier's experience, and it won a lot of Game of the Year awards. I think it was my Game of the Year for that year too, or at least top 5 for
Top
sure.
five.
Had a really, really great story, great writing. They never really followed up with it though. That was like the last game in the Spec Ops, or the line or whatever. They didn't really do anything after that. But this game has been removed from Steam, the PlayStation Store, and Xbox Store, so you can no longer buy it. And apparently, it's because of
Expiring licenses.
some partnership licenses that have expired. And this was published by 2K Games, and they sent a kind of a statement to IGN that says the following, quote, Spec Ops: The Line will no longer be available on online storefronts, as several partnership licenses related to the game are expiring. Players who have purchased the game can still download and play the game uninterrupted. 2K would like to thank our community of players who have supported the game, and we look forward to bringing you more offerings from our label throughout this year and beyond. So, can't really buy this game anymore, and I guess you wanted to play it, you need a physical copy. I don't know if this is backwards compatible on the current consoles, but
It should be
I
on the Xbox, shouldn't it not?
yeah, let me look this up if this is backwards compatible.
It's
Um,
kind of wild that this game is just not available anymore in digital storefronts. And I think the ending is really well known, right? Because I didn't get to play this game
mm, yeah, it says it's backwards compatible, so you can still play it if you have
series.
a, a, a disc version. Yeah, this game was known for like its depiction of war. It was kind of like an anti-war game
Hmm.
at the time. Really great game. I believe the writer or the director here, Corey Davis, he posted on Twitter/X. He said, "Devastating personally, but also for those who poured their souls into its creation alongside me as developers and for the gaming community at large. This is not the end for Spec Ops: The Line." End quote. So,
I got a
I
question to that quote.
yeah,
Where's the
hmm
second game?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what happened. They never followed up with this.
Hmm.
It did have really great writing. It was a really great game. I remember a lot of people were like, "Yeah, this game has set itself apart," but
Hmm.
just didn't have a follow up.
Yeah.
So maybe it didn't sell well. But I do remember seeing this game was like constantly on sale. Like it was always in bundles, like as a PC code, or it was on sale on the storefront. So like if you wanted to play this game, you did have opportunities to. But it sucks for like people finding out about it later because you
Yeah.
can't download it anymore. Um, but I did play it at the time. I thought it was a really great game. I don't really remember much about it other than it was basically like a anti-war depiction of like a soldier's experience and basically an anti-war message.
Hmm.
So, which is a lot different compared to most games that are out now. So I don't know. I don't know what issues of the licenses. Maybe it's a music thing. Maybe it's what could it be? I'm not sure. Usually it's related to music.
Isn't
This.
there isn't
Mhm.
there like a Jimi Hendrix song in here?
Yeah, IGN mentions that the game includes Jimi Hendrix's iconic rendition of the Star Spangled Banner.
Okay, yeah.
So maybe there's a music issue. But they say several partnership licenses.
Yeah.
So I don't
That
know.
could
That could
but
mean a
music,
bunch of
man.
things. Hmm.
Yeah, music is a real big one.
Hmm. But that was an important game in the early 2010s.
Yes.
Unfortunately, like you said, there wasn't really a follow up, and now you really can't play the game unless you own it already,
Hmm.
or you buy a physical copy on Xbox 360. I
It's time to
guess.
hit those
So
retro stores, brother.
yeah, I know.
Games to go.
I still got mine. I still got my
Oh
copy.
wow.
Yep. Yep.
I should really
So,
hunt. I should really go to Longview, Texas. There's a store. They have a bunch of retro games, especially for that PS3 era. I should probably pick this up
mm.
or on Xbox 360.
Yeah, I'd go for 360. Yeah,
Hmm.
for sure. It's probably gonna play pretty well on there.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, another news story here was Supermassive Games. Both co-founders are leaving the company and have left the company. So the company was founded by brothers Pete and Joe Samuels, and both are leaving the company. One of the reasons given was Pete Samuels has some health-related issues that's causing him
Yeah.
to leave the studio after 15 years. The company was founded in 2008. And the new CEO is Avalanche Studios chairman Robert Henryson. And Avalanche Studios are kind of known for the Just Cause franchise, to kind of put a game behind the name there. Yeah, Supermassive Games, they were known. We just talked about one of their games earlier, Until Dawn.
Till
They made that
dawn.
one. They also made the Dark Pictures anthology and or anthology. I'm sorry, and the Quarry, which from a couple years ago, which was another story-based game available on all platforms. So yeah, they make good games. So
I hate that for Pete.
yeah, hopefully it's nothing too serious. He's stepping down. But yeah, the brothers co-founded the studio there. It's a long time to be at the top, and they've transitioned the studio to a new CEO. And I don't know if they're involved in the Until Dawn remaster because it seemed to be handled by another studio. But
Hmm.
they do make good games, so interesting to see where they go from here. Um, yeah, this is another interesting topic here. We talked about this actually on the last episode of the show with Rock Band 4 ending their downloadable content stream after so many years. So there is a new musical guitar peripheral coming out soon. It's called the PDP Riffmaster Guitar, which is going to work with Rock Band 4 and the current Fortnite Festival. I guess you can only play Fortnite Festival now with a controller. So imagine trying to
Mm.
play like music with like the controller. It just sucks. Like it's brutal. Like I wouldn't do it. Um, this guitar is releasing this spring. It's got a foldable design, so like the guitar like folds in half basically instead of being detachable, and it's gonna have 36 hours of
Oh
battery
my
life.
God.
So it's gonna be on PlayStation and Xbox. So like at least they're kind of we talked about this last episode how you can't find these guitar peripherals anywhere for like a
Mm-hmm.
decent amount of money. So this is going to be a new one that's going to be compatible with Rock Band 4 and the Fortnite game. So I think that'll do well. I think that's a good step in the right direction.
Especially with 36
Um,
hours of battery life. Do you play for that
yeah,
long, Tim?
yeah, I'll do it straight, man. Yeah, put some like Randy Rhoads on there, Freebird. I'll be just playing all night, you know.
Anything over 36. So if you go 36-1, you just collapse. It has to be
Yeah, that's
36 at
30.
the
Yeah,
time.
36 in a minute. That's a little bit too long for me. But 36 hours, yeah, that's perfect. I'll just stay up all night and shred. And I don't know actually what songs are in Fortnite Festival, but I'm hoping they kind of just transition that whatever Rock Band was, they transition that into Fortnite because I think I do want to play these games again, that musical stuff. I think there's an audience for that now. You know, it's been a long time to kind of bring that back.
I kind of
And
wonder what happened to all you folks playing with the peripherals. I always
dude, it's
think about that
yeah.
South Park episode.
Isn't it crazy like how it really is crazy how expensive these things got because they're just like you cannot buy these anywhere
Yeah.
for like a decent amount of money. So it's
Again,
good they're bringing new ones back, like a
you know
new.
what? I'm gonna make a trip to Longview and go to that store, Games to Go, because they do everything retro. I kind of wonder if they do have some of that and what they're priced at that store because
Mm-hmm.
they'll take anything.
Yeah, I just like you were paying. I mean, it was just crazy, like triple, quadruple the price for like the used equipment
Yeah.
for guitars and drums and stuff. But I'll probably get this when it comes out
Hmm.
if they start supporting Fortnite really well, like the Fortnite Festival. Since Harmonix is basically transitioning from Rock Band to that game,
Hmm.
like that's going to be the new platform for their music stuff. So I might get this and play those again if it's fun. Um, do you have any interest in playing the music stuff or no?
Brother, I flip 50,000 boxes a day whenever I'm at work. I think I think trying to play a guitar that's out of my realm,
It's not.
unfortunately.
It's not happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess our Rock Band dreams are not going to happen then, or we're not going to go on tour. Me and you, and
Well, I'll do it on Twitch.
you do it on Twitch.
I'll do it
Okay,
on Twitch.
we'll do it on Twitch. We're live on Twitch. Okay. So the kind of last story here. It's really interesting of Doom running on basically everything. That's kind of the joke that the original Doom can play on a toaster. It can play on every compatible console. It plays on basically everything. This is Doom runs on gut bacteria. So that's pretty crazy. So basically, this was part of a project from an MIT graduate student named Lauren Ramlan. And her project was basically getting Doom to run on E. coli bacteria that can be put on a digital display. So I was reading this article, watching her explanation of the video. It's very science heavy and kind of over my head of how this even works. But basically, Doom runs on very low resolution and it would take 599 years to run the game fully and complete it based on like I guess they said in the article if it takes you 5 hours to beat Doom, it'll take you 599 years to beat it playing on this gut bacteria. And we'll link an article in the show notes. There is a video of her explaining the game and her process behind the development. It is really interesting, and they do show like low resolution of the game playing. But it's pretty wild that Doom like literally runs on everything.
Gut bacteria. That's incredible.
Mm-hmm. And it was the 30th anniversary of Doom in December of the original Doom that came out from id Software and John Romero, John Carmack, all those guys. So kind of good timing with this. If you throw up and got E. coli everywhere, you can play it on Doom. If you feel the need to, you can save it, scoop that up, don't flush it.
Don't
You know,
flush
you can
it. Yeah.
play some Doom on there.
I think you probably beat the game sooner if you eat Taco Bell.
Yeah, I think 599 years. That's a long time to
To beat
wait
Doom
around
in the gut.
for Doom. But that's a really cool project for her as a graduate student. I wouldn't think of that it runs on bacteria. But yeah, we'll link the article in the show notes. You can check out the video because it is really interesting to see kind of her process behind it and what went into that. But very science heavy, but pretty cool nonetheless. So, but yeah, I think that's going to wrap up the show. It's kind of all the topics we have to talk about and the games we played and everything like that. Do you have any final thoughts, Lewis? Or
Well, it's unfortunate that people keep losing their jobs. Hopefully that changes for the rest of the year. I want people to work and create awesome games we get to play and cover on this show. So hopefully things start going up. And are we going to come back next week, Tim? I think
yeah, there'll be a
we
show
got a
next
state
week.
of play to cover, I believe, on Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, we'll have a planned episode for next week. And if you're interested in listening to that show, you can listen to us and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and our YouTube page, as well as anywhere you get your podcast from. We have an RSS feed that you can plug in there and download the show. And just a reminder, we have all our social media accounts on all social media platforms. You can find those usernames and screen names on quarterdisorder.com or quarterdisorderpodcast.com. And at the top of the homepage is a podcast section that'll take you to the podcast hub that has links to all our podcast platform subscriptions, as well as our social media pages and my own social media pages as well, if you want to follow me. And yeah, if you like this episode, please give us a rating on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to the show. It helps out. Give a rating and a review. It kind of gets the show out there and helps with promotion and stuff like that. And we're really interested in your feedback. So if you had any feedback to this episode, positive, negative, or any hate mail as well, you can send that to feedback@quarterdisorderpodcast.com or write into the show notes and leave a comment there as well, and we will read it on the air next time. And we do appreciate any feedback because the show is still new and we're trying to kind of get any sort of constructive criticism right as we can get.
Oh yeah, just get our footing in correctly, as we go on.
So yeah, we appreciate that. Check out the show, make sure you subscribe, and we should be back next week, and we will talk to you all then.